Guys, welcome back. Let's talk about knowledge. Okay. Now it seems kind of silly, but just bear with me. In martial arts, there is a vast amount of knowledge. We're talking about multicultural history, time periods, um, all kinds of different things besides the actual rudimentary knowledge of strategy and tactics and techniques. There is an incredible amount of knowledge that one has to learn if they really want to take a deep dive into martial arts. But at the end of the day, knowledge can only get you so far. It's your ability that really matters. And I talk about this with my students a lot, that there are martial scholars, there are martial artists, there are martial technicians, there are martial marketeers. So there are many kinds of martial people out there that approach the practice, the pursuit, the study of martial arts for a variety of different motivations and reasons. And everybody has their place. Even the martial marketeers, the people that are in it purely for profit, they have a place too. I mean, they offer services and products and stuff for people to be able to purchase. And their motivation is strictly to make money, but at the same time, I mean, you have the choice to purchase that or not. And if you do, then the idea is that what you're getting is worth the money that you're spending. And if you're okay with that, then that's fine. Where I personally have a problem are people who are profit driven that steal from other people or like steal their ideas, steal their words, steal their imagery and products and stuff, or they offer things that are shiny but lack any real substance, or they offer things that are just flat wrong. And people are spending money on things with the faith that what they are purchasing is going to have is going to be accurate. It's going to be healthy for them to learn when in fact it isn't. So, but that's a topic for another video. I don't want to get into that. Um, but knowledge is something that has it's a as the saying goes, it's a double-edged sword. You can have a lot of knowledge at the expense of ability, and you can have a lot of ability at the expense of knowledge. The two have to go hand in hand. But here's kind of the point that I want to make with this is that knowledge can be a hindrance to growth in the sense that you learn something, you get an understanding of something, and then you cling to it. You wrap your confidence around that, and that knowledge becomes something that you are fixated on. You learn a term, you learn a saying, or maybe Hatsumi Soke says something and and you learn something from that, and you attach to that to such a degree that your mind is no longer open to any other possibilities, any other interpretations or any other applications to that. Uh, and also, here's the other little truth is that oftentimes knowledge can contradict other knowledge depending on the purpose and context for which that knowledge is presented. And if anybody's been in this art for any length of time, Hatsumi Soke is notorious for saying things that sometimes contradict previous things he said, but when you do a deep dive into what he's really trying to say, it makes sense. It's just that if you take things very literally and very narrowly, that it can cause confusion. And people bicker and fight all the time about knowledge. They fight all the time about, oh no, this has to be done this way, or this is what was meant by that. And here's here's the thing about human psychology is knowledge is like ability in a sense that once you acquire that, your character dictates what you do with that. So, and I want to tread carefully. I don't want to offend anybody, and I'm not trying to name anybody. This is just basic human behavior, and I see it across all industries. And so it's not just martial arts, but I really see it in martial arts, that people will weaponize knowledge. And this is this is something that I personally have experienced, where somebody has some knowledge about something and they use it to attack you. They use it to attack what you might say, or an opinion you might have, or a perspective you might have. And then they come out from this position of, well, no, da 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 da, da, this is what is meant. You don't know. And I, spent 1,000 years in Japan, and I lived, I sat with this person and I heard from them, da da da. And all of that on the surface level is okay because, credibility comes from your experience and your direct experience versus second, third hand knowledge. Your direct experience is important, but when you weaponize that knowledge, you're actually killing the life of that knowledge because now your character is coming out through your knowledge. Your knowledge is like your taijutsu. Your knowledge is like it's like your ability to use a tool. That your character, who you are as a person, comes out through that. So you can have all this great wisdom and knowledge, but you use it in ways that are toxic, and you use it in ways that are meant to tear people down or to attack certain things. Nobody learns from that. Nobody grows from that. And all it does is really just make people think that you're a posterior orifice. So what I'm trying to say here very, very gently is that if you are somebody that has a lot of knowledge and a lot of direct experience and a lot of good value, don't use it to weaponize, or don't weaponize it and use it to belittle, demean, put someone down who may not understand things as much as you. At the same time, don't be so full of yourself, so attached to your knowledge that you're not open to the possibility that maybe you don't quite understand it as well as you think you do. And this is really the big lesson that of all the decades that I've been training, this is the final conclusion that I have come with in my own Shugyo, my own path, my own deep study within myself, within the art that I train in, is the final conclusion that I've come to is that the more I know, the more I realize I don't know. And I think there's something incredibly liberating about that. When you finally accept that you just don't know, I think that that opens your mind to every possibility out there. It opens your mind to really growing because you don't attach to something to the point that you build your ego around it or you build your security around it. That it's okay if you're wrong. Failure is important. Failure in thinking, failure in doing is important for growth. You have to reach those points of realization of when you realize, hey, I'm wrong. Hey, I've been going about this the wrong way. Hey, I don't fully understand this. I don't care if this guy's brand new. You don't know where they come from. Maybe they lived in Japan for 20, 30 years, but they've never trained in the Bujinkan or any martial art. But they have such a connection to the culture and knowledge of the culture and things like that, that they're going to interpret the training on a different level than you, who has lived in your own home country and all your experiences are limited to your environment that you've grown up in, worked in, and things like that. And this person has this different viewpoint that really one thing can mean something completely different to them that you never even considered. But because you are sensei or you are uber dan rank this person, that you take on this air of, well, I know better because I am this, that you're actually stumbling under your own feet. You're actually preventing yourself from learning and growing. So there's knowledge is fantastic. It's essential. You need to grow in knowledge, but there are pitfalls and traps when it comes to knowledge. But knowledge, like anything else, is a reflection of your character, and how you use that knowledge and how you pursue that knowledge is a reflection of you. And there's a funny meme that's out there that talks about, I'm going to ruin this, but it's two pictures and it shows one picture and it says, this guy trying to figure out this work assignment and stuff. And it's basically like a guy with a sketch pad and crayon. And then it says somebody researching to counter an argument on a social media post, and he's got like a million monitor screens and he's doing all this research on everything else. And it's kind of a silly meme, but it really sets the point is that I think a lot of times people in this art pursue knowledge for the sake of dominance, that they pursue knowledge because they want to be able to be the expert. They want to be able to be the guy that's going to be the ultimate authority here, that they can then set their dominance among everybody else. There's a lot of people that are like that, because it's easier to do that than it is to go train to have better taijutsu. It's easier to sit for hours and do research on the internet and read books and do all these things and gather all this knowledge and then be able to spill all this knowledge out online than it is to actually get your butt in the dojo or the gym and work hard to improve yourself. If people just focus on their own self improvement, then there would be no need to weaponize knowledge. There would be no need to attack anybody else. There would be no need to sit in judgment. There'd be no need to want to be dominant over somebody else because you're too busy trying to deal with your own self. Because believe me, I don't know about you, but I know for me, dealing with my own self is a full-time job. My own pursuit of self-improvement is a full-time job. I don't have time to worry about what other people think, what other people do, whether or not it's right or wrong. Who cares? I'm too busy trying to just deal with me and my life and things I got going on. So I want to be able to improve as fast as I can. I want to be able to improve in as rich and as high quality as I possibly can. So I'm open to all kinds of different possibilities. People that want to challenge me on comments, that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm not against that because everybody has a perspective and there's always something to learn. Even if it's completely off the chart and I don't agree with it 100%, it's okay because it still makes me stop and pause and go, hey, how firmly do I believe that? Do I really understand the word emote and emote gyaku? I mean, little things like that. I think it's important to always have that, like that childlike mind of curiosity to always explore things. You hand a block to a child and they're going to pick it up, they're going to put it in their mouth, they're going to scope, check it out, they're going to throw it against something. They're going to do all kinds of things to explore every possibility with this item. And I think we need to do the same thing when it comes to knowledge and even our own knowledge to keep exploring that. But don't weaponize it. Don't use it to show superiority over somebody else. Use it to encourage and guide people, but do it in a way that encourages them to seek out and gain the knowledge for themselves. I think that's a healthy way to approach knowledge. And be mindful that your knowledge can be a trap. And so that's really what I wanted to talk about here because this was based on a conversation I had with some students, and we were talking about study time versus training time, and how much should we really know about things like history and culture and the meaning of things and stuff like that. And this just kind of spurred some conversation, but also there are some people who are very active in social media who really like to boast about their knowledge. And they do it in such a way that it's very obvious that they're trying to be dominant. They're trying to put themselves as the expert in things at the I don't want to say at the expense of, but they want to put themselves at the expert level to be the authority on things, and go so far as to put down anybody else that might have an alternate view or alternate experience, even if that person with that experience has spent just as much time or more in Japan training with their master teacher, et cetera, that all that experience doesn't matter because their opinion differs from theirs. So that's kind of what I'm talking about, how people will weaponize knowledge instead of using it as sharing and encouraging and healthy dialogue that creates an environment where everybody can learn from everybody. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it gave you some thought. I don't think I said anything that was too controversial, but again, if I offended anybody, I apologize. That's never my intent. My videos are never meant to insult. It's never meant to put anybody down. My videos are meant to encourage and to educate and to help people grow by getting them out of this limited thinking and this fear of having your own thoughts and really go deep and explore these things. So I encourage you to do that in all your training. But at the same time, don't spend so much up here that you're not spending enough time in here training this body. Because when that attacker hits you on the street, he doesn't care how much knowledge you have. So you do need to make sure that you are spending enough time practicing in the right things and practicing hard, consistent. Develop that body, develop that skill, but at the same time, develop that knowledge so that you understand what it is you're doing. And especially when it comes to pursuing a martial art, because we're not an exercise program, we are a martial art. And so the art involves a certain level of academics. So you want to make sure you balance that. Pen and sword, right? That's what you hear. Um, so anyway, thanks again. I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate all the likes and all the follows. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please like the videos you find useful and helpful. And please, please drop some comments. Let me know. I love all the supportive comments. Even just to say, hey, great job. That's okay too. But just keep all the comments constructive. I don't want any attacks, passive aggressive, all that kind of nonsense. That's, to me, that's not what mature martial artists should be like. So let's be the example. And even if you don't agree, you can always move on. If you don't agree and you want to share that, that's okay too. Just be professional about it and be supportive and courteous. That's all. It's easy. So anyway, thanks again. And as I always say, stay happy, stay healthy, and no matter what, keep training.